Have you wondered if you're just an HSP or that you have ADHD or autism instead? There's a lot of talk and confusion on social media right now saying that these are all the same. So, in this video, we're going to look at recent research that compares the three and look at where they overlap and where they differ. Some people think that they're a highly sensitive person, only to later find out they're actually on the autism spectrum, or they have ADHD, or both. So, does that mean that all HSPs are people that just haven't been diagnosed yet? You may have heard these extreme, kind of absolute views on social media saying that high sensitivity isn't real, that it's just autism in disguise, or for people who don't want to admit that they're on the spectrum. And from one angle, I definitely get that because historically, autism has had a lot of stigma around it, much less so than being a highly sensitive person. But from my view, autism is not something to be ashamed of. There's a lot of great qualities when you're autistic. And these misdiagnoses are usually more common with women who don't present the same as men, who make up the most of the studies that have been done to create the diagnostic criteria that we use to assess for autism. But there are also many HSPs who don't relate at all to the features of autism or ADHD. They just don't see themselves in those presentations. And while I'm sure people mislabel themselves as HSPs sometimes, it's not true all the time. So I'm curious, where do you fall? What has your journey been like as you sift through what label fits best for you? The reason people get high sensitivity, autism, and ADHD mixed up is because they have so many overlapping qualities, as many things do, right? It's more like a Venn diagram. The human body only has so many ways to express itself. So of course things are going to look similar from time to time. All three of these groups experience sensory sensitivity, feel emotions intensely, which means getting easily overstimulated. Basically, we're all sensitive, but not highly sensitive. And by that, I mean not all have the sensory processing sensitivity trait, which is the technical term for being an HSP. High sensitivity, it's defined a little differently by depth of processing, really thinking and processing things really intensely, emotional expansiveness, having strong intuition and perception, being really socially attuned and high in cognitive empathy, which is different than the emotional empathy people with autism feel so strongly. HSPs don't naturally struggle with attention, impulsivity, rejection sensitivity, or executive functioning when they're living a balanced lifestyle. And unlike folks with ADHD or autism, HSPs prefer really low stimulant environments. And when we're too stimulated, we actually can take on ADHD or autistic features like sensory seeking or inattentive behavior, but that's only temporary. Those things will fade away and shift when we're kind of back on track with what's best for us. So, from a distance, with an untrained eye, all three of these groups look really similar. But if you zoom in and you look closer, there's a lot of differences, a lot of subtleties. So, there's a research study from 2025 that found that high sensitivity leads to burnout, anxiety, stress, health issues. But it also, on the other side, HSPs feel more joy and satisfaction in positive circumstances, like going to therapy, having supportive friendships, taking good care of yourself. There's only a very small connection with autism and ADHD, which is probably due to those overlaps that I spoke about before. So, of course, there is a lot more research to be done here to tease apart high sensitivity, autism, and ADHD. And I know this conversation is only scratching the surface, but it what it does do is it's starting to correct the misinformation that's out there and highlight that so far the research, the anecdotal evidence shows that high sensitivity, autism, ADHD are very distinct from each other, again, when you look more closely. So, that being said, they're different, but you can have one or more of these all at the same time. You can be highly sensitive and you can have ADHD or autism. And what seems to be really common is you can be autistic and have ADHD. So, those can all be mixed up in different formulations in the same person. And as I've said before, I like to think of these characteristics as cousins, not adversaries. We're all on the same team. We all have shared experiences here. So I see us as kind of one big family that we can relate to each other. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are, what your experiences are around this. Feel free to share down in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.